The New York Yankees are entering an offseason that feels like one of the most important turning points in recent memory. After yet another playoff exit that left fans frustrated and searching for answers, it's obvious that something deeper has to change within this team's identity. For years, the Yankees have relied on power, on the big home run moments, on trying to slug their way to October glory. But that formula has started to crumble under the pressure of elite postseason pitching. The problem isn't the lack of star power, it's the lack of balance. When the lights are brightest and the stakes are highest, the Yankees' offense too often goes cold. And that's where a player like Quan could completely shift the dynamic. Now, when you bring up Quan's name, you're not talking about a traditional Bronx Bomber type. You're not talking about someone who's going to blast 40 home runs or drive balls into the upper deck. What you're talking about is a pure hitter, a player who gets on base, who grinds out at-bats, who can steal a base when needed, and who knows how to keep an inning alive. That's something the Yankees have desperately needed. Every October, we've seen the same story. Strikeouts piling up, runners stranded, no one able to move the line. Adding someone like Quan would finally give this team the reliable table setter they've been missing since the days of Derek Jeter at the top of the order. Think about what Quan has done with the Cleveland Guardians. Year after year, he's been one of the most consistent contact hitters in the league. He might not hit the long ball often, but he brings an element of balance that completely changes how a lineup functions. You look at his recent numbers, around a .270 batting average, over 50 runs batted in, and more than 20 stolen bases. And those stats might not scream superstar, but when you dig deeper, you realize how valuable that production is. It's not about quantity of home runs. It's about quality of at-bats. Every time Quan steps into the box, he gives his team a chance. He wears pitchers down, he fouls off tough pitches, and he finds ways to reach base. That's the kind of energy the Yankees lineup has lacked. Someone who keeps the offense moving instead of waiting for the next home run. And if you're the Yankees front office right now, you have to be asking yourself what kind of identity this team wants to have moving forward. The home run power will always be there with guys like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. That's not the issue. The real problem has been the complete lack of balance when it comes to manufacturing runs. Too often, it's been home run or bust. You can't rely on that formula when facing elite postseason arms. That's why bringing in a player like Quan could be such a strategic move. He changes the tone at the top of the lineup, he pressures the defense, and he gives your power hitters more RBI chances. What's interesting is that Cleveland might actually be in a position where trading Quan makes sense for them. They've got a stacked farm system loaded with young, inexpensive outfielders who are almost ready to make that jump to the majors. 10 of their top 30 prospects are outfielders, and 4 of those are among their top 10 overall prospects. So, when you look at it from their perspective, they might not be able to justify giving Quan a long-term deal, especially when he's starting to become more expensive through arbitration. That's where the Yankees could take advantage. They have the prospects, they have the financial flexibility, and most importantly, they have the need. Now imagine the possible trade scenario. You bring in Quan, and maybe a left-handed pitcher like Colby Allard comes with him. Someone who can contribute in both starting and relief roles, helping balance that Yankees bullpen. In return, the Guardians could receive someone like Jasson Dominguez, a player who has been surrounded by hype but hasn't fully found his place in the Yankees' outfield rotation. There's no denying Dominguez has talent, but with names like Cody Bellinger and Trent Grisham filling spots last season, and Spencer Jones about to make his debut, there's a logjam in that outfield. Maybe what Dominguez really needs is a fresh start somewhere he can play every day and grow without the constant New York spotlight. The same goes for a pitcher like Will Warren, who's been hovering on the outside of the rotation picture. With Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Luis Gil, and possibly even Chase Silseth locked in his rotation arms, it's hard to see Warren cracking the top 5. Instead of letting him drift in long relief, moving him in a deal like this could bring back real value. Players who can make an immediate difference. And then you throw in someone like Brendan Beck, one of the Yankees' top pitching prospects, to sweeten the deal. Suddenly, it starts to sound like a trade that makes sense for both sides. If you think about it, the Yankees haven't had a true leadoff hitter who fits this mold in a long time. Since Jeter, They've rotated through so many different options, guys who had flashes of potential but never truly owned that role. Stephen Quan would finally fill that void. He's patient, disciplined, and rarely swings at bad pitches. He knows how to work a count and find ways to get on base, which would open up so many opportunities for Aaron Judge hitting behind him. Imagine Judge coming up with runners already on instead of leading off innings by himself. That changes everything. Quan's consistency is another major selling point. Year after year, he's hovered around that high 280, low 290 range in batting average. That kind of reliability is rare in today's strikeout-heavy game. He doesn't chase, he doesn't panic, and he always finds a way to put the ball in play. And when you combine that with his speed, it becomes a real weapon. Over the past few seasons, his stolen base numbers have climbed from the mid-teens to over 20, showing that he's becoming more confident and aggressive on the bases. That kind of versatility is exactly what the Yankees have lacked. Someone who could turn a single into a scoring opportunity just by being a threat to steal. Picture that new-look Yankees lineup. Quan at the top, setting the tone, followed by Aaron Judge in the 2-hole, then Ben Rice, Giancarlo Stanton, and maybe Jazz Chisholm Jr. if the Yankees manage to bring him back. After that, you've got guys like Oswaldo Cabrera at third, Spencer Jones in left field, Austin Wells behind the plate, and a speed duo like Jose Caballero or Anthony Volpe rounding out the order. It's a lineup that finally makes sense, power mixed with contact balanced from both sides of the plate, and enough speed to make opposing teams nervous. But more than anything, it's a lineup that fits Yankee Stadium. The short porch in right field becomes even more valuable when you've got hitters on base. You don't need everyone swinging for the fences when you can build pressure inning after inning. That's how championship teams are built, not just with power, but with diversity in the lineup. The Yankees of the late 90s had that. They didn't just rely on home runs. They put the ball in play, they ran the bases, they made pitchers uncomfortable. That's exactly what's been missing in this modern version of the team. And let's be real, Brian Cashman and this front office are under enormous pressure this offseason. After being knocked out in 4 games at home by Toronto, patience is running thin. Last winter, they focused on pitching. This time, it has to be about the offense. The focus needs to be on contact, on players who can grind through at-bats and create runs the old-fashioned way. Stephen Quan represents that philosophy perfectly. He's not flashy, he's not loud, but he's effective, and right now, that's exactly what the Yankees need. When you start to imagine what this trade could actually mean for the Yankees' future, it becomes even more interesting. Stephen Quan isn't just another name to throw into the mix. He represents a complete philosophical shift in how this team approaches offense. For too long, the Yankees have been built around power numbers, hoping that one swing could change everything. But postseason baseball doesn't work like that anymore. You can't depend on launching a home run in every big moment. You need guys who can move the line, who can put the ball in play when it matters most, who can turn a leadoff single into a rally. That's exactly where Quan thrives. Every time you watch him play, you see the small details that separate him from the average hitter. He doesn't chase breaking balls out of the zone. He fouls off tough pitches until he finds one to handle. He shortens his swing with 2 strikes and focuses on contact instead of power. That kind of approach is something the Yankees desperately need to bring back into their lineup. For a team that's been near the top of the league in strikeouts for several seasons, adding a hitter with Quan's discipline could completely change the team's rhythm. What also stands out about Stephen Quan is his ability to adapt. In his first seasons in the majors, pitchers tried to challenge him inside, thinking his smaller frame would make it easy to overpower him. Instead, he adjusted his timing, turned on pitches faster, and found ways to spray the ball all over the field. He learned how to use every inch of the strike zone to his advantage. That kind of growth shows not only his talent, but also his baseball intelligence. He's not just reacting, he's studying, analyzing, and evolving, which is exactly what makes him such an ideal fit for the Yankees' new approach. And then there's his defense. Quan is not only one of the most reliable contact hitters in baseball, but also a standout defender. His range in the outfield, his jumps off the bat, his ability to track down tough fly balls. It all adds up to tremendous value. For a Yankees team that has dealt with inconsistent defense in the corners, having someone who brings stability in left field would be a huge upgrade. Combine that with Spencer Jones potentially breaking into the lineup and Aaron Judge holding down right field, and suddenly the outfield looks much more balanced than it has in years. Now, if the Yankees do decide to move forward with a trade for Quan, the biggest question becomes, what do they have to give up? Names like Jasson Dominguez will always get attention. He's young, he's talented, and he still has a lot of potential. But the reality is that potential doesn't always turn into production, especially in New York. Sometimes players need a new environment to truly develop, and maybe that's what Dominguez needs. A move to a smaller market like Cleveland could help him find his confidence again, get regular at-bats, and grow into the star many people expect him to be. The Yankees, in turn, will be getting someone who is already proven and fits exactly what they need right now: contact, consistency, and speed. Well, Warren could also be a piece that moves in this deal. The Yankees' rotation is already deep, and while Warren has shown flashes of being a solid arm, it's clear that there might not be a starting spot available for him. Rather than letting his development stall, it might make more sense to use him to fill a hole that's been haunting the lineup for years. Cleveland, on the other hand, values young pitching and could view Warren as someone who could step into their rotation sooner rather than later. The inclusion of someone like Brendan Beck, one of New York's better minor league pitchers, would simply make the trade more realistic for both sides. But beyond the trade logistics, what really matters here is what Steven Quan represents for the Yankees culture. He's the type of player who brings a sense of calm to the game. He's not flashy. He's not trying to hit tape measure shots. He's focused on doing the little things right. And that's exactly the type of energy this team needs to surround its stars with. For Aaron Judge, who has carried the offense for years, having a reliable on-base presence in front of him would completely change his role. Instead of constantly trying to do too much, he could focus on driving in runs, something he does better than almost anyone in baseball. It's also about setting a new tone for the Yankees' identity. The fans are tired of watching the same style of play, the feast-or-famine offense that looks dominant one night and lifeless the next. Bringing in someone like Quan signals a commitment to smarter baseball, to contact, to pressure, to adaptability. It's a sign that the organization is willing to evolve, to admit that the old formula isn't working, and to finally build a team that can win in multiple ways. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. The baseball world is buzzing with an electrifying rumor that could redefine the landscape of the American League. Julio Rodriguez, the sensational young outfielder whose talent has dazzled fans and scouts alike, is reportedly set to join the New York Yankees. While nothing has been officially confirmed, whispers in the league suggest that this move could be imminent, and the mere possibility has already sent shockwaves through every clubhouse from Boston to Los Angeles. Sources close to the situation claim that the Yankees have been quietly negotiating behind closed doors, aiming to secure one of the most exciting players in the game today. Julio, known for his combination of blistering speed, jaw-dropping defensive plays, and a bat that can change the course of a game in a single swing, would instantly become the centerpiece of New York's lineup. If the rumor holds true, the Yankees could be staring at a seismic shift in the balance of power within the league. Across the AL, murmurs of disbelief are spreading. Analysts are debating what this would mean for the current standings, while rival teams are reportedly scrambling to adjust strategies. Fans are already flooding social media with speculation. Could Julio's arrival finally deliver the Yankees a long-awaited edge in a league where dominance is hard-fought and fiercely contested? The chatter alone has created a frenzy of ticket sales, merchandise anticipation, and endless what-if debates. Despite the excitement, caution is the watchword. No official announcement has been made, and baseball insiders warn that negotiations of this magnitude are complex and often fraught with surprises. Still, the buzz around Julio Rodriguez in pinstripes is palpable, a tantalizing vision of speed, power, and electrifying defense transforming the Bronx into a stage for potential historic seasons. Whether this rumor becomes reality or remains a tantalizing what could be, one thing is clear. The mere suggestion of Julio Rodriguez donning a Yankees uniform has ignited the imagination of fans and pundits alike, and the American League will not be the same. The countdown has begun, and the baseball world holds its collective breath, waiting to see if this explosive story will go from whispered gossip to headline-making truth. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.